Hi everyone, it's me again, Z Power Hour here, coming at you with another deck for set six. I know I've seen several people like Ding and Sailor playing this for the Cross Continental Challenge. I do like their lists, and I would imagine they probably won't play the most polished version of the list for a public event like that before the Continental Championships. Um, I would say this current list that I have here favors Ding's list rather than Sailor's. Results wise, I've seen Ding play fairly well and perform fairly well during the Continental Challenge. Sailor's performed very well too. I think I tend to favor Ding's list slightly more, simply for the fact that it utilizes a lot more card selection than Sailor's list, and I think that's necessary for the direction of the builds moving forward into set six. So to start with, we'll start with our characters. Tipo, Growing Sun, just one of the best 2-drop accelerants you could have in the game currently. Grammaltala, to help filter your draw. Hiram, the best Sapphire card draw engine in the game. The new versions of the list running a restricted item count makes me kind of curious what the correct numbers are for Hirams and if Fishbone Quills are necessary. Still, however, I think with the accelerants now on 2, you don't have to worry about that as much. 3 copies of Maui, Hero to All, for when you need to take out some of those pesky locations or larger characters. 3 Medusa. 2 Sisu Empowered Sibling, just another good board wipe effect against several different decks. Choosing to not play the shift line, I think this deck doesn't necessarily need the shift line in order to be good. I think that's been showed in the past, and here recently I've seen more people playing the smaller Sisu Daring Visitor. I think it's good into your more aggressive matchups. That's obviously good against decks like jamming Daisy or jamming Singer Cindy in order to help answer that prior to that Cindy shift line. But if you're running heavier on Be Prepareds like this current list is, I don't think you need that shift line. 4 copies of Tamatoa, and finally 3 Maleficent Monstrous Dragon. Next for the actions, we have 4 copies of Develop Your Brain, 2 copies of Hideaway, 4 Sail the Azurite Sea. Now this is the new set 6 card for the list. To be honest with you, I think this card is kind of absurd. I have most of my background playing competitively through Magic: The Gathering, and Explore, as silly as that sounds, draw a card, put an extra land into play, is absurd. I think most of us can agree that this is probably the best overall card in general from set 6, even if it doesn't give you the same effect as like a Tipo or Fishbone Quill. Adjusting your list to accommodate it just allows you to power out into your end game plans. So you get to be prepared sooner or more consistently. You get to draw an extra card instead of just putting something off the top or having to lose the resource from your hand that you didn't replace. So this card is inherently the best card from set 6. 4 copies of Vision of the Future and 4 Brawls. Next, our song package. We're choosing to play 3 How Far I'll Go. This is very likely 1 too few. I think 4 is a very good number. However, trying to stabilize the uninkable count at about 14 cards, similar to what the original set 1 versions of RP that I had made were playing, just to give you inkable consistency throughout the game and not to stumble over yourself when you're playing Sail the Azurite Sea. 4 copies of Be Prepared. Once again, harkening back to the reason for playing 2 Sisus. I want to be heavier on the Be Prepared simply for the fact that it answers everything on the board, and there are plenty of times where Sisu is just not quite good enough. And finally, for our item package, we have 2 Vitalispheres, 4 Popsicles, and 2 Lucky Dimes. I think 2 Lucky Dimes is a must moving forward, especially if we see an increase in hideaways seeing play, or even if we see more Cuscos, say, in Sapphire Steel. There's a lot of interesting interactions for items that have come up between set 5 and set 6 that really make me think you need at least 2 copies of Dime. I've seen some people trying 1, but I think you're really pushing your luck only having 1 copy. One thing that you may notice that's different between this list and Ding's list is I have foregone, including Mufasa, ruler of Pride Rock, in here. I chose to do that simply for the fact that I wanted to be more consistent on my Medusa answer. So having the ability to have that answer more frequently versus having that top end play that kind of does stuff. In the mirror, the Mufasa's honestly not entirely all that strong. And blue steel, you have a little bit different there. 9 on the back end is kind of a big deal. But I think having the Medusas, anticipating the format's going to be more aggressive than we've seen it in the past. I think you'll see a lot of Amber Steel aggro songs where you'll see them playing 4 copies of Let the Storm Rage On, 4 Strength of a Raging Fire, and then a very aggressive line of Daisy, Smee, Piglet, Pete's, Lawrence, Pluto's, and maybe top ending and Gatu's, and some similar things of that nature, and even Purple Steel. You may even run into the Hyper Aggro deck. I would say if you ran into the Hyper Aggro deck, this is not the best build for that matchup. The best build would be the one that includes the Sisu Shift line. However, I would imagine that deck will not likely be around very much in the format due to the amount of steel that's seeing play. Outside of that, the big thing to remember with this deck is mulligan, mulligan, mulligan for your ramp on 2. I cannot emphasize that enough. All you need is one item with a Hiram to get your package going, to get drawing, to help you get to your answers. And mulliganing in order to accelerate into that is one of the most vital parts of the game. In the green steel, I could see some arguments for not doing that due to the discard that deck has, as well as into, say, the yellow-green singers list that we've seen in the past, Amber, Emerald. However, against almost every single other matchup, you want to be the bigger deck, you need to be accelerating, and you need to be jamming your top-end threats. That's all I have for today on Red Blue. Thank you guys very much for tuning in. Leave a like, comment, possibly subscribe down below, and I'll catch y'all next time.